generally. And I guess I'll start off by asking, each of you represents a different distribution mechanism in the app ecosystem. And I'm curious to know if there's one piece of advice that you could give to developers on how to engage better with you, what would that be? Let's start with Ashok.
We have a developer program called the Samsung Mobile Innovator. I think it's innovator.samsungmobile.com, where we engage with developers. So that would be a good start for developers to start.
So Samsung
this.
Innovator? Yeah. Okay. I know these mics are a little tricky, so make sure everyone's speaking right into the mic. Right, Larry?
Yeah, so with Symbian, actually, it's not that well known in the U.S., but it's pretty well known in other parts of the world, Japan, China, Europe, etc. So as it relates to developers, we have a program called Horizon, essentially, that is a publishing program that supports a lot of our partners, like Samsung, like Sony Ericsson, that feeds their app stores. So we try and get global reach for a lot of people here. So that's one way to help.
And sorry, one more time, was that?
Symbian Horizon.
Horizon, okay.
It's on the website.
Great. Ian?
So we as well have a developer program. I think, one piece of advice from my perspective anyways is to make use of a lot of the services that are available. I think as developers, I think we sometimes join programs and we get the SDKs and the tools, but there's lots of other resources, be it support from other members of the community and getting your technical questions answered, things of those natures. Through BlackBerry we have an open ecosystem, so as well as having our own BlackBerry app world, we also work closely with third-party stores like GetJar, close relationships with the operators, all of those things. We have windows through our developer program. And as well, and I'm glad that Yap was speaking today, because I think there's a huge opportunity in partners who create services for developers. Gone are the days where you'd insult a developer by suggesting that they don't build something themselves. Everybody's looking for time to market. So if you've got a very simple component strategy where you can provide an enhanced capability to an app and work with the manufacturer or whoever else is in the ecosystem to get that message out, everyone can be successful.
Christopher, how about you? How about with Sony Ericsson?
So I guess there's a lot of similarities with what we're doing to what our friends and my colleagues here are saying. Yes, we do have a developer program. We've been focusing very hardly on that, working very close with the developers, helping them as much as possible. There's one thing that if I look at our own proposition, our portfolio, I look at the industry, I think the number one question developers should ask themselves is, what is my target audience? What is it I'm looking for? Do I want to go for the volume? Do I want to go for all platforms? Do I want to go global? Or am I targeting a very niche local market, single platform strategy, and therefore subsequently with the ability of having a much higher, better placement in terms of a store? I think those questions are very, very important for you guys to ask yourself that, because if I look at the number of app stores out there, there's way too many, in my humble opinion, and there will be more. You have a lot of apps coming out. There are hundreds of thousands of apps. How the heck do you discover which one to get? So as you guys are going to compete with all these guys, you're competing on replacement. You're competing on the consumer eyeball. And therefore, while you can see, there's a big addressable market globally, but the local market is probably smaller, but the probability of you being on one of the top 10 or one of the top 100 is much higher. So I think those questions, you should ask yourself that, and then base your business case accordingly.
And Patrick, what about you with GetJar?
Well, it's interesting because for us we kind of sit across the ecosystem, and obviously we've worked with Rem. We work actually very closely with Sony Ericsson globally, and we're really platform agnostic. And I think our approach is to be cross-platform, and what we see globally is that the most successful developers, i.e. the guys who are really making a lot of money or the guys who are really getting an immense amount of downloads, generally at one point or another become cross-platform developers. They just don't have a choice. And I think that sometimes there's kind of this myopic view in the Valley that it's all about iPhone or it's all about Android. the successful guys go cross-platform. They will work on some of these platforms. They will work on RIM. They may work on Symbian. They will work on feature phone handsets as well. So, the first thing, my first advice to developers is a little bit, what Christopher David was saying just now is think really who is your target audience, because that partially is going to determine your platform strategy.
That's great advice.
And it's also going to determine your feature strategy in terms of what you include in those applications. The second thing I would urge developers to think about is, applications is a global market. We've done over 850 million downloads globally, and I can tell you they are coming from 200 countries. So think about your application and your distribution strategy in terms of the global appetite for your app, not just what are people going to download in the UK, what are people going to download in the US, what are people going to download in Spain. And obviously we can help you in terms of those distribution goals. That would be my advice.
And last but certainly not least, Claudia from Motorola. I'm really curious to hear what you're going to say here, because Motorola has made quite a developer effort in recent years, especially. What is your one piece of advice for developers?
Well, the program has grown. Our program MotoDAP has grown quite dramatically over the last few years. We have some unique sort of parts of our program that I'd like to touch on. We have the App Accelerator program. So for most of you who are really developing and targeting multiple handsets and trying to get early access to devices so that you can be ready when we bring our products to market, this program actually allows you to, it's an NDA program. We screen everyone who applies, but actually allows you to have access to our devices prior to the ship date of the device, actually sometimes several months before devices are available in the market. It's not just the device, but all the access to the features of the phone, as well as information about the SDK, often remote testing, so you're able to get a head start in development of your app, which is important when you're targeting a new platform or a new handset. The other part is the Fast Track program, which I addressed, and I definitely think that Yap has a really interesting model. And there are not many companies out there that are understanding that targeting developers is sort of a special business, that there is a need. We really care. We want to make developers successful, and we're trying to enable them in all of their aspect of their development lifecycle. So if you have a service targeting the developer community, there's definitely opportunities for you that are unique, and we'd love to talk about those.
Great. So we've got just a couple of minutes left to wrap it up, and I just have one question, which I think I get asked a lot, and I'm sure you get asked a lot. Does anybody have any major pet peeves when someone shows you an application and says, come work with us? Any massive pet peeves, anything you've seen that just completely turns you off? I'm sure there's a lot of things, but keep it quick because we've got about a minute.
Yeah, there's one thing that is becoming increasingly difficult, and way too many developers build applications with the aim to be preloaded. Preloaded is a utopia, because none of you guys in the room can afford to be preloaded, because that business is changing and fundamentally changing. You need to start understanding that screen real estate is very, very valuable, and the competition to have a place on that real estate is very, very big. So think differently, think open. Think in terms of building your application in an open manner, but it does not require to be preloaded. Think open and allow your application to be extended by others. Don't do it only on your own. Take help of others to do it as well.
I think that's great advice. We are really running close on time. Anybody else with a quick one?
I'll pitch in one just really quickly. I think when you're presenting an app, you're thinking about your app. Think about the target piece. Who you're actually targeting, but try to build an app. Don't just build a feature. I think we see a lot of applications that are just one-time use, disposable things. They do something absolutely compelling the first time, but it's difficult to drive users back. So think about integrating with native applications. Think about using push for alerts. Think about all those things that'll bring a user back to your app every day.
We could probably have this conversation all day long with pet peeves, but I think unfortunately that's about all that we've got time for today. Thank you guys all for coming. Thank you so much to the panelists and also to the developers that were pitching. And next we have a really great panel session, sort of similar format, but we're going to be doing it on pitching to VCs. So we've got a great panel of VCs up here, and Chetan is going to be moderating. So thank you all for coming. Hopefully you'll stick around.